What's up guys, and welcome to today's video. So today, again, very chilled again. I'm still wearing the same pink jumper as last time, but it's just coincidence. We are going to go through my portfolio today and see what's changed over the last week, look at the top riser and I guess the top faller in the week, and just generally talk about stocks in the coming week. Let's get on with the video. So guys, let's look at the top mover this week, and the top mover this week is Boohoo, rising 10.3%, which is great. I think this is due to several reasons. I think it's still the gradual recovery of the stock, people realizing it's still undervalued, and we're coming into the Christmas period where inevitably Boohoo is going to sell a lot of clothes. Despite the stock being treated as a COVID stock, and these stocks tend to get battered when things like the high street is open. And currently in the UK, we have now finally, just today, been let out of the national lockdown, and we are now in a tiered system, which means in some areas the high street is open. However, there's another reason why I think Boohoo rose this week exceptionally well. I think it's because Sir Brian Leveson was asked to lead essentially by the company kind of oversight of its supply chain transformation following the supply chain allegations. So I think this, so Sir Brian is going to oversee it and the work that Boohoo is going to do on, I would say, mapping out and addressing some of the supply chain issues found in the report, but it's also going to be supported by KPMG, the auditors as well, but not as Boohoo's auditors, just as supply support for Sir Brian. I think this is a really good move. I think what this does is it strengthens, I guess, the reputation of Boohoo, because a lot of the institutional investors left Boohoo when the scandal happened. And I think by having somebody like Sir Brian, who is an ex-judge, and come in and show face against Boohoo, it puts real credibility against the company. And I think he's well respected within, I would say, the city. So this is more of your kind of banking and institutional investors. As somebody who's well respected and willing to put their face against Boohoo, I think this provides a lot of confidence probably to some of those institutional investors, which will probably come back once a lot of these supply chain allegations are addressed. And so yeah, so I think that was the big reason why Boohoo went up this week. I think they're also doing incredibly well. They've just had their Black Friday sale. However, their Black Friday sale got a bit of, I would say, flack this week because they were selling dresses for 8p, which, how do they do that? How do you physically do that? How do you sell something for 8p? And I think they're probably not making any money on that at all. I think it's more around they have made it, and what we're coming into, and this comes into the sustainability question, is where they've made stock and they can't sell it, so they sell it for dirt cheap. And I think this is something that Boohoo needs to get better at. Absolutely agree at that. But I also feel that I would rather them try and sell it at 8p and it go to somebody who will use it and wear it, rather than go and try and dispose of it unethically. But again, Boohoo, I think, doing really well. It's one of the stronger positions in my portfolio. Really happy it's doing well. So guys, let's look at my worst performing stock. So this belongs to BATM Advanced Communications. And what these guys are is they're an Israeli company which has two main divisions, and they're quite diverse in terms of the divisions. So they have one division which is cybersecurity, and then they have one which is to do with healthcare. And the healthcare one, they do, I guess they support the COVID situation where they were producing tests for the COVID virus. And this stock is really being treated as, I would say, a COVID stock, and because of the developments we've had in terms of the vaccine, and also I would say, we're looking slightly better and promising in the COVID fight. Most countries are. There's been less of a need for these tests, and they were on a massive climb since March, and now they're on a bit of a decline, coming around, I'd say, the low 80s. And this stock, I think, it's in an interesting position because as a stock, I think it's got great potential going forward, because despite there being COVID, we are always going to need detection methods against new viruses, and that's what they specialize in. So they do the tests for detections of viruses and things like that. Ooh, got a sneeze. But yeah, and they also do technology as well. And it was an interesting company where they had the two divisions, and there is room in the future that they might do a split, which would be interesting. But the cyber division does something very interesting, which is around virtual networks. And what they do is they support kind of the 5G concept of being able to manage multiple 5G devices on a network, because what's going to eventually happen when you have these large industrial companies which have thousands of connections of 5G, the management of all those devices is going to be a nightmare. And what BATM have been working on is a management process for large industrial organizations, and they've just, or earlier in the year, they signed a tier 1 supplier in this, and I think this is something that they're very future focused as a company. So right now, because of how well things are going in the COVID world, they're not doing too great, and they fell 5.8% this week. So guys, the general portfolio, how is it going? It's growing by 3% this week, which I'm happy about. I think it's interesting because I have a lot of UK stocks in this. I got obviously some American tech stocks, but I obviously have UK value plays, which have kind of seen a massive boost due to the support on the COVID vaccine, and I guess opening up of the economy from the government. And I think personally, I think that's the last national lockdown we'll see in the UK, which kind of bodes well for a lot of the UK recovery plays that I have. However, there is still the overbearing kind of issue called Brexit, which is looking to either come to a conclusion at the end of this week, or inevitably it will just spill into, I guess, the latter end of December. Because I think both sides, are still arguing over fisheries, and there are key issues which both parties do not want to give up on. So my thoughts on Brexit, I think, are both parties want a deal, but it's, they always, if you're in negotiations, you need to come off the winner. And I think that we've reached this stalemate where inevitably, I think we will head to a no-deal Brexit. So what is that going to do on my UK value stocks? Probably not too well, but I think what it does is it will open up some more buying opportunities to knuckle down on stocks I think are exceptionally good. So I would like to knuckle down really on my legal in general. I'd love to get a few more shares in there at a good price. But for now, I'm relatively happy. I'm up overall on the portfolio, I think 14%, which I'm really happy about. And this is for me something a longer play. But anyway, guys, have a great day. I will see you in the next update. Leave a comment down below what you think is going to happen in the coming weeks with Brexit. If you think the rollout of the 800 doses next week of the Pfizer vaccine will actually happen in the UK, that'd be really interesting. But anyway, guys, leave this video a like, drop a comment down below. Have a great day. Cheers.